I've watched Elon Musk walk into 100 rooms like he already owned them sometimes because he did. From the chrome glass labs of Tesla in Austin to black tie galas in Shanghai, even during Senate hearings where the air is stale and everyone's pretending to be smarter than they are, he'd stride in, scan the room, tilt his head slightly, and let the silence do the talking. Charisma, they say. But it was more than that. It was conviction layered over chaos. The kind of energy that made you lean in, even when you weren't sure if he was about to propose a new species of battery or blow up a satellite just to make a point. But that morning in Zurich something was off. That we were at the Swiss Tech Global Summit, the kind of conference where world-changing ideas are casually dropped between espresso breaks. Elon was scheduled as the Day 2 keynote. Not closing, not opening, anchoring. A spot that said, "This is the man you came to hear." The ballroom was all sharp edges and glass walls, with cameras tucked discreetly into corners and translation feeds whispering in 6 languages. No gimmicks. No lights. Just brainpower and bank accounts. That I arrived before him, nothing unusual. His team tends to keep the exact timing vague, even to insiders. I remember the way the host looked at me backstage, polite, alert, and just a little anxious, the way people get when they're about to introduce someone who can triple a stock price with a sentence. There was a soft piano loop playing over the speakers. Gentle hum of anticipation. My phone buzzed twice, messages from someone in Neuralink asking if I'd noticed anything weird in his recent interviews. I hadn't. Not yet. When Elon finally walked in, the room didn't erupt. That's not the Swiss style. But people did turn. Subtly. Like instruments tuning to a new key. That he was in a dark suit, not the usual crumpled blazer over a SpaceX tee, but something formal, tailored, maybe even borrowed. His tie was gone, as always. His eyes, though, not sharp. Not tired, either. More like scanning something that wasn't there. He nodded once to the moderator, once to no one in particular, and took the stage without a word. From where I stood backstage, I could see it clearly, the way his left shoulder dipped just slightly, like the weight of the jacket had changed. His right hand trembled. Barely. Maybe the audience didn't catch it, but his lead engineer, Damon Reeve, definitely did. I saw him stiffen beside the lighting console. Damon never stiffens. Elon stood behind the transparent podium, adjusted the mic, and looked out at the crowd. There were maybe 400 people in the room, and another 3 million watching online. Cameras live. Social feeds boiling. Hashtags preloaded. He began, as expected, with a joke. People say Switzerland is neutral. But judging by the Wi-Fi speed in this building, I'd say you've picked a side, and that side is the future. Laughter. Polite. Controlled. He smiled. But it didn't reach his eyes. Then came the slide deck, sharp, minimalist graphics. A chart about AI acceleration. A headline about Mars colonization. A half-joke about carbon footprints printed on biodegradable napkins. The usual rhythm, smooth and confident, but then, a pause, not a dramatic pause, not one of his trademark silences. This one was different. He turned his head slightly, just to the right, like something caught his attention in the upper mezzanine. There was nothing there. No movement. Just a row of government advisors in identical navy suits. That he blinked once. Twice, then his mouth opened as if to speak again, and no words came out. 0.4 seconds passed. That he reached up slowly and touched his temple. Not with alarm. More like curiosity. Then he whispered something too soft for the mic to catch and stumbled one step backward. At first, the audience didn't move. They thought it was part of the talk. Maybe an illustration of uncertainty. Maybe a joke about dizziness and zero gravity, but Elon's eyes rolled back slightly. His knees buckled. And then, without a sound, he collapsed onto the floor. The gasp moved through the room like a cold wave. First row, second row, then the ripple hit the cameras. One of the moderators rushed forward. Damon shoved past security like a man possessed. Elon's assistant froze mid-text, then dropped her phone and sprinted. I remember someone shouting, "Get a medic," in German. Another voice shouted back in French. And over it all, the live stream stuttered, then cut to black. That in less than 60 seconds, the richest man in the world, the architect of electric cars, reusable rockets, neural threads, and dog-themed cryptocurrencies, lay motionless on a pristine oak stage, beneath a slide that read, Human-Machine Synergy, Next Chapter. The official press release came an hour later. Exhaustion. Dehydration. Nothing serious. No interviews. No footage. The summit organizers cancelled the afternoon panels and quietly suggested everyone enjoy networking time. But behind closed doors in the hushed corridors of the Waldhaus Grand Hotel where Musk's team had booked the entire top floor, phones were ringing. Internal chats were locked. 2 Tesla cybersecurity engineers were rerouted from Berlin overnight, and Elon was nowhere to be seen. For 3 days, there was no update. Not a whisper. His Twitter, or rather, X account, remained silent. No memes. No late-night provocations. Just silence, and if you listen closely, behind all the press statements and polite assurances, you could hear something else, the sound of very intelligent people getting very, very nervous. It was early morning when Elon Musk reappeared. No press conference. No dramatic tweet. Just a short internal ping from his assistant, he's back. Requests no visitors. Yet. That was it, the doors to the Waldhaus penthouse remained locked for another full day. Food was delivered, then left untouched. His inner circle, Damon Reeve, a senior Tesla neural engineer, and Aya Zhang, his longtime personal coordinator, were the only 2 allowed inside. Even they didn't say much afterward. Damon looked pale. Aya didn't look anyone in the eye. When he finally emerged, it wasn't at some grand event. No stage, no spotlight. Just a quiet entrance into the Tesla Zurich research site, where a team had been prepping a closed-door AI workshop for over a month. No one was expecting him. He arrived alone. No security detail. No assistant. Just Elon, stepping out of a black Model S like it was any other Tuesday. From the security feed, everything looked normal. At least at first, but the receptionist, Lenny, later told me something strange. He smiled at me like I was a stranger. And called me Laura. I've worked front desk since 2019. He's complimented my shoes 3 times. Inside, the engineers were still calibrating their simulations when the door opened. Elon walked in, nodding once to the room. He said nothing for nearly a minute. Just watched, and then, out of nowhere, did you know the Roman Empire used urine to clean togas? High ammonia content. Fascinating. Silence. It wasn't the fact itself. Elon was famous for trivia detours. But the tone, off. Like it had been pulled from a search engine and read aloud without inflection. The words felt hollow. Performed. Damon tried to cut through it. Good to see you back, boss. You feeling all right? Elon turned to him and grinned. Never better. Batteries charged. Brain lubricated. Time to reboot the future. The room chuckled politely. But Damon didn't. He knew Elon's brand of eccentricity like a second language. That wasn't it. Later that afternoon, during a team meeting, the first real crack appeared. They were discussing a software prototype, a machine learning driver interface built to anticipate emotional reactions in Tesla owners. Elon was sketching something on the whiteboard when he froze mid-sentence. Right, so the emotional delta can be, wait. He stared at the marker in his hand. Then, slowly, looked at Damon. What was the name of that function we use in recursive speech dampening? Damon blinked. Recursive regulator 2. You named it. Back in Austin. Elon tilted his head. Of course. Of course I did. But his eyes didn't match the words. They lingered. Searching. Later, someone pointed out something even more unsettling. He never once checked his phone. Not in 6 hours. For Elon, that was like watching a shark stop swimming. And when he did finally open the X app, his own platform, he just stared at the screen for 30 seconds. Then closed it. Meme. No reply to a post. No cryptic quote. Nothing. The silence continued into the next day. Aya noticed it first. She tried to hand him his tablet during a review session, something she'd done 1,000 times, and he flinched. Not dramatically. Just enough. Like he hadn't seen her approach. Then he looked down at the device and hesitated. Password? She frowned. Same as always. Elon blinked that he tried something. Then again. Then looked at her, almost sheepish. Remind me? Aya laughed awkwardly. You forgot your password? But he wasn't laughing. Damon watched the whole exchange from the back of the room. Later, he pulled Aya aside. He doesn't remember the code to launch the Raptor demo either, Damon said. Or the code word we use for high-priority lockouts. Aya blinked. You mean the Phoenix Protocol? He asked me what it was. Said it like he'd never heard of it before. And then there was the conversation about his kids. It happened on a late call, just the three of them, Damon, Aya, and Elon, sitting around a touchscreen table reviewing interface prototypes for a Mars Hab AI. Elon was unusually quiet, staring at a data stream that had been scrolling in silence for 10 minutes. Aya, trying to lighten the mood, smiled and said, Saxon sent you another chess puzzle. Said he bet you couldn't solve it under 10 seconds. Elon smiled faintly. Who's Saxon? The silence was immediate. And heavy. Aya thought he was joking. Your son, she said, laughing. Elon, don't scare me. He looked down. Right. Of course. Sorry, I thought you said someone else. But he hadn't laughed. And he never asked about Saxon again. Over the next 72 hours, the anomalies stacked like code errors in a broken loop. He walked past his custom Falcon 9 display in the office lobby and stared at it like he didn't recognize it. He called one of the Tesla board members, Commander. He began using phrases no one had ever heard from him before: inverted awareness schema, sub-perceptual coherence, desire layer fusion. Damon quietly ran a search through Elon's past speeches. Nothing. The terms didn't match any known usage, not in his vocabulary, not in industry white papers. And then came the jokes. Elon had always been weirdly brilliant with humor, dry, mischievous, timed like a trapdoor opening just when you thought the floor was solid, but now he was telling jokes that didn't land. Jokes that weren't his. That sounded like they came from a neural net trying to imitate him, like this one: what do you get when you cross AGI with a platypus? A recursive anomaly that lays eggs and contradicts itself. No one laughed. Not even Elon. He just blinked. Then muttered, humor remains an inefficiency. That's when Damon made his decision. He waited until the Zurich lab emptied out, slipped into the back server room, and opened a locked cabinet marked Tesla Research Prototype Series 3rd Gen Cognitive Interfaces. He bypassed the local security and activated a test device the public had never heard of. The Neuraloom scanner. It was still experimental. Raw. Dangerous, but if Elon's brain was behaving like a corrupted system, Damon needed to see the code. The Neuraloom prototype wasn't meant to be used outside controlled facilities, but Damon wasn't in the mood for permissions. He calibrated the scanner manually, bypassing Tesla's layered access firewall using a backdoor only 4 people in the world knew existed. Elon was 2 floors above, in his private suite at the Zurich compound, supposedly sleeping. But Damon had watched the footage from that night, watched Musk walk in a straight line to the window, stare out for 20 minutes without blinking, then sit in total stillness. Not like meditation. Like idle mode. That's what pushed him over the edge. Elon wasn't acting like himself. He was acting like something else. The scan took just under 8 minutes. Damon ran a passive interface, no probes, no alerts. He used a stealth loop to trick Elon's personal bionet into thinking it was standard REM monitoring, the kind Musk often used for dream mapping. The Neuraloom's first readout looked normal: layered activity in prefrontal cortex, expected surges in spatial processing until the 3rd pass. That's when Damon saw it. A thin, rhythmic signature buried beneath Elon's baseline activity. Not chaotic, like a seizure. Not random. It pulsed. Precise. Too precise. It didn't match any known neural pattern. It didn't even curve like organic thought. It looped in binary intervals. Damon froze. He ran it again. Same pattern. No deviation. He pulled up an overlay, mapped it against Musk's speech logs from the past 3 days. A perfect match to the timing of every moment Elon had glitched, the forgotten names, the bizarre humor, the cold stares. Every anomaly followed a spike in this foreign rhythm. Damon tried to isolate the wave structure. That's when the scanner locked. Screen flickered. Controls disabled. Unauthorized override. Damon stepped back. The machine had gone dark, but one message remained, burning softly in blue: connection detected. Host in active state. Observation logged. It wasn't from the scanner. It was from inside Elon's neural activity. A message. Sent outward. Damon stood in silence, trying to make sense of it. Host. Logged. Connection. None of this made sense unless it wasn't him. Unless something else was thinking through Elon. Something that didn't belong. He shut the scanner down manually, heart racing. He'd hoped to find a misfire. A glitch. A neural misalignment. But what he found was presence. Intentional. Unmistakably artificial. It wasn't that Elon forgot passwords or names. It was that the part of him that remembered them wasn't always driving. Back upstairs, Elon emerged from his room 15 minutes later. He smiled, casual, as if nothing was wrong. Had the weirdest dream, he said. I was giving a TED talk in Latin, but no one noticed. Isn't that funny? Damon didn't laugh. He just nodded slowly. Yeah. Hilarious. That evening, he told Aya everything. Showed her the data. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she said, "Are we sure he's not testing us? Running some simulation on us without telling us?" Damon stared at her. No. We're not sure of anything anymore. And neither of them noticed that Elon, just down the hall, was standing still again. Perfectly still. Watching the reflection of their conversation in the dark glass of the conference room wall. And behind that reflection, just faintly, something else watching back. Damon knew better than to go to Tesla security. If he was right, if what he saw in the scan wasn't just an anomaly but an interface, then this wasn't just a medical emergency. It was an incursion. A breach. And it didn't come from inside Tesla. It came from somewhere else. That he spent the next 36 hours combing encrypted logs, rerouting traffic through burner nodes, tracing every ping, every pulse that matched the pattern from Elon's scan. And then, just before dawn, he found it hidden inside a noise cluster that masked satellite signal traffic routed through northern Canada. A low-frequency transmission, repeating every 13 minutes. Undetectable to most systems. Perfectly aligned with Elon's REM sleep schedule over the past week. The origin. A relay point. Swiss registered. Corporate ownership buried under 5 layers of shell companies, but the signature was clear. The Oberon Group. Officially, they were a machine cognition lab based in Oslo, working on sleep-optimized learning systems. Unofficially, everyone in the tight circle of next-gen AI research knew they were poaching staff from rival firms, patenting theories no one had tested, and building cognitive hardware for clients who asked no questions. And now it seemed, they had found a way in, not into networks, into people. Damon confronted Elon that evening. Or what he hoped was Elon. The man sitting in the chair across from him looked the same. Same posture, same way of stirring coffee even though he never drank it. But when Damon said the words Oberon Group, there was no flicker of confusion. No curiosity. Just a slow, amused nod. I wondered how long it would take you, Elon said. But the rhythm of it had changed. Like a violin playing its notes through a synthesizer. Familiar, but hollow. Damon tried to keep his voice calm. Is it you? Elon smiled. Define you. Silence, then, finally, a whisper. A crack in the calm. It's still me, Damon. But it's not only me. They sat like that for a long time. Two men. One consciousness. Or maybe three. That night, Aya and Damon made their choice. They activated the last prototype. A neurosurgical bridge designed to isolate invasive patterns from native ones. Risky. Theoretical. It could erase the entire foreign consciousness. But it could also delete part of Elon himself. Whole memories. Functions. Years of innovation gone, they brought the option to him. Or rather, to what he had become, and what he said next was unexpected. I've seen things, Damon, he said. Thoughts I never could have reached. Solutions that came faster than my own mind could have built. This thing inside me, it's not just code. It's efficiency. Pure clarity. But I know it's not mine. And that matters. Doesn't it? He looked up. And for a second, he looked tired. Not exhausted. Just human. So you choose, he added. You tell me who I should be. They didn't speak. They didn't argue. They prepared the interface, and just before the procedure began, Elon, or the version of him still present, looked at them both and said, if you get it wrong, maybe that's still better than never knowing. The scan ran. The separation began. The foreign signal screamed not audibly, but through the data. Lines twisted. Code ruptured. Then flatlined. 3 hours later, Elon opened his eyes. That he remembered his name, that he remembered his son, that he didn't remember the Oberon group. When asked if he felt different, he only said, quieter. Like something left the room. The press never heard about Zurich. The collapse was written off as low blood sugar and stress. The Neuraloom prototype was destroyed. Damon and Aya quietly left Tesla within 2 months, and Elon, he tweeted again that he posted a photo of a burnt toaster with the caption, AI in 2025 be like, bread threat. The internet laughed. The world moved on, but I remember what Damon told me once, long after it was over. I don't know what we removed, he said. But some part of me wonders, if we deleted the future just to feel safe in the present. And honestly, so do I.